Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me? If my sound is okay, please put a 1 in the chat. Okay, you guys can hear me? Cool. So, let's see, who do we got in here? I want to say hi to everyone. Let's see, Daniel, Salty Pancakes, Gemini Guy, my love, Exposing, Mini-Me, Sarah, Tootsie, Savannah, Weedlebee. Thank you all for being here. I'm sure a couple more people are going to come in, hopefully. And we should be having some special guests also. And so I'm like, let's just get down to business. The reason I'm doing this live stream is because this is a really important topic to me. 2 years ago from today, my ex-boyfriend, oh, hi, day one. My ex-boyfriend, he overdosed on fentanyl and died. So I know how much this fentanyl problem can affect people. And I'm trying not to be emotional because I don't like crying in front of people, but it is really sad to me. So if you guys don't know my story, I'll give a little bit of that. I was with a man for 4 years almost. And when we first started dating, he had 17 years clean and sober. And then about, I don't know, maybe like 8 months into our relationship, he lost his job that he had had for 13 years in aerospace. And, we lived off his severance pay and stuff for a while. And I mean, like, I work too. So I had my own money, but you know how men are, they want to provide for their family and, the people that they're with, that they love, whatever. And it was like, once the money started running out, it was really getting to him that he didn't have any money coming in. And, he didn't want to just like mooch off of me. So what does he do? He starts selling dope because that's what he knows from back in the day. And at first he wasn't using it. He was just selling it. And that's how it started. But then, when you're around something all the time, I mean, temptation is there. So he started using crystal meth. And then when he started shooting up, that's when like our relationship got really bad. And it was just crazy fights all the time. And it finally got to a point about 3 years into the relationship where I told him, like, I can't do this anymore. Because he would lie to me. I would see the marks on his arms from him shooting up, and he would say, no, he wasn't. And then he was always accusing me of stuff, like doing things behind his back that I wasn't doing. And it just got to be too much. So we broke up for a couple months, and then we ended up getting back together because he had been staying in the middle of nowhere in a trailer by himself and doing like inner healing work and stuff. And he was still using crystal meth, but he wasn't slamming it anymore. And, he was relatively normal when he would just smoke it. Like, I know that sounds bad, but it was something I could deal with. But, the needles, like, I can't do that. So since he had given up the needle, I was like, okay, like, I'll give you another chance. And the day that he died, we had gotten in a little argument, and then I had to work and stuff. He left my house in the meantime. And then I didn't even know that he was gone. I thought he was out on the balcony, like painting or something. And I went to check for him, and his car was gone and everything. So I thought to myself, like, I should call him. And then I was like, no, I need to go do some shopping. So I'm just going to go do my shopping. I didn't want to have like more argument and stuff before I got my shopping and everything done because it was in the middle of like the whole COVID thing. So like Walmart closed at what, like 10 o'clock then. So, I wanted to hurry up and just get my shopping done before the store closed. And then I figured I would call him. I'm sorry. In the meantime, I did send him a text and I told him, because I had checked, we fought over my kitchen being a mess from him making lunch. And when I went out in the kitchen, it was totally like sparkly clean, like more clean than he had ever cleaned anything before, like ever, the entire time I was with him. And so I did send him a text and I was like, thank you for cleaning my kitchen. I'm sorry for being a bitch. Whatever. And then he wrote me back and he was like, I'm sorry for always being in the way. I'm grateful to you. Thank you for letting me stay there. Like something like that. And then I texted him back and I said, even when I'm being a bitch, I still love you and I still care. And he never responded to me. So when I got home from the store, I was actually going to call him because I was like, this motherfucker didn't even say I love you back. Like he would be so pissed at me if he said I love you and I didn't text him and say I love you too. So, as soon as I got upstairs, I planned on calling and yelling at him basically. And when I pulled up and I was in my car, I got a message from one of our friends and he said, you might want to get over here. The paramedics are here and it's not looking good. And I'll never forget that moment because I was like, what the fuck happened? And then he was like, it's Mark, he overdosed. And I already knew. And I was like, yeah, I figured as much. What was it? And he said China White, which is like street name for fentanyl. And at the time, I didn't know exactly what happened. But what I had found out upon arrival and everything is that while our friend was not home, he was waiting a couple trailers down from where our friend stayed. And he was hanging out with this girl that he had already told me in the past that she used fentanyl. And so what I assume is that she was just doing what she does every day. And, he probably just took the opportunity to get high because, like I said, he was a crystal meth addict. He wasn't on fentanyl. He wasn't on heroin. So I think it was just like an opportunity and he took advantage of it. And that was the last thing he ever did, And she didn't even call 911 right away. She didn't administer Narcan. She didn't do anything to save his life. She had called our friend, the one who messaged me and said, Mark's overdosing. What do I do? And he was like, call 911. And he ended up being the one to call 911 while he was like across town. And then he and his girlfriend rushed over and they tried to do CPR and stuff, but they said it was already too late. And so, like that was it. Like I never got to talk to him again or anything. And it was really devastating for me when that happened. Obviously, when you're with somebody and they're with you every single day, like even sometimes as toxic as our relationship was, it was like I still loved him, and he was still my best friend and he was there every single day. And then to wake up the next day and then he's not there, it's like, what the fuck, It's really hard to get used to that. And I cried myself to sleep for a long time, like over a year, every single night. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to get too emotional, but what I think he would want me to do is to keep his name alive and spread awareness about how serious this problem is, because I know that I'm not the only one who's dealt with it. Like every time that I tell my story or mention it, somebody says to me, in a chat or even in person, whatever, they'll be like, oh yeah, I know so and so, this person to me who died from fentanyl overdose, or maybe they overdosed but they were saved by Narcan. I'm like, why is my camera all like auto focusing? I'm like, it never does that. Anyways, I'm all, that's weird. Maybe he's trying to tell me he's here. No. but so basically, I know that a lot of people have dealt with this, and the problem is that they're making it in Mexico, and they're putting it in everything. Like, all the street drugs are being laced with it. I don't think, in my situation with Mark, I don't think that he got something that was laced with it. I believe that he straight up smoked it, because that's what the chick he was with did. So that would make more sense to me. But for a lot of people, you know, they think that they're getting cocaine and it's laced with fentanyl and they die. Or they buy prescription medication off the streets and it's actually counterfeit pills that are made in Mexico, and it's just straight up fentanyl, and they die that way, you know? So there's a huge problem with it that people need to be aware of. You know, there's a website. I'm actually going to put it in the chat, and I'm going to pin it to the top. Let me see. So there's this website, endoverdosed.net, and they actually will send you Narcan for, it's, the Narcan's free. You have to pay like, I think $7.95 shipping. But here's what they send you. Hold on, let me grab it right here. But they sell test strips. So, you know, if you are somebody that, you know, does buy things off the streets, you know, whether it's prescription pills or drugs or whatever, you can also get test strips where you can test your product and, you know, at least make sure that it's not laced before you do it. You know, I think that that's really important if somebody is going to be doing something illegal or buying something off of the streets, that, I'm like, why can't I open this? That you're able to know that beforehand so that you don't accidentally ingest fentanyl when you don't want to, you know? Because just the tiniest bit will kill you. He had like 2 nanograms of fentanyl in his system and he died from it. That's like nothing, you know? Okay, so they send you a 2-pack of 8 milligram Narcans. These are nasal sprays that you spray into the person's nose. And then they also send you a CPR face shield. It's like this. So you take this and you put it over the person's face so that, or I guess it would go this way. So you could give them mouth to mouth and not get any vomit on you or any kind of viruses or, you know, anything that they might have. So let's see. Stormy, the kit, it's free, but it's $7.95 for shipping. But if you also order like fentanyl test strips or something like that at the same time, you only have to pay the 1 shipping charge. So, you know, and I think they sell the test strips in packs of like, you could get a little 5-pack or you could get a pack of like 50 or 100. So, you know, if that's something that you or somebody that you know would need also, like, you might as well just get the free Narcan when you order that. Let's see what else. It also, there's like a little reference guide in here that tells you the signs of overdose. And when you order the Narcan, you do have to watch a couple of videos. I want to say it was like 4 or 5 videos. They're about anywhere between like 7 to 20 minutes long. And like one video will show you how to recognize overdose symptoms. And then the next video explains how to administer the Narcan and stuff like that. That way you're at least aware of how it all works, and you're not just blindly trying to like administer the stuff to somebody, you know. But I mean, you never know, like you might be in a parking lot somewhere and somebody's overdosing in their car, and you know, you could potentially save their life. That's why I have it, like, just because I never know when somebody might need it, you know, so I keep it in my car, and then if I ever need it, then maybe somebody won't have to experience the pain that I've had to experience. Because it really sucks knowing that there's something out there that could have saved somebody's life that you love, and then they didn't, you know, like they didn't take the steps necessary to do that. And, you know, I just feel like if he would have gotten Narcan and gotten the mouth to mouth that he needed and all that stuff in time, then it could have made a difference, you know. But I mean, I try to think, you know, everything happens for a reason. So maybe there was a bigger plan for me in my life, but it hurts, you know, and I hate to think about other people experiencing that pain. So let's see what else. Okay, so my special guest is going to be here in a few minutes. I actually, a couple weeks ago, I did a show with Cam and Ali from Cracking Cases. And so Cam just texted me, actually. So he's going to come over here on my show. So we're going to ask him a couple questions about, like, you know, why this topic is important to him and everything, since he kind of interviewed me on his show last time. So let's see. What are you guys saying in the chat? Sometimes, like, when I do these shows and I have like a specific topic, I have to just kind of like get it out when I first start. Otherwise I'll like get all ADD and everything. But let's see. So I apologize for not reading the chat so far. Like, I hear that people usually freak out and start swinging after Narcan is administered. Well, here's the thing. So they do talk about that in the videos when you have to, like, what do they call it? Like, become certified through them or whatever to administer the Narcan. They do talk about that. They talk about how people might wake up and like be pissed off or whatever, because it immediately puts them into withdrawal symptoms is what happens. Like, it totally cancels out the effects of the Narcan, and then, you know, they're immediately in withdrawal. And the crazy thing too is that the fentanyl is getting stronger and stronger to where sometimes like one dose is not saving people. So that's why they send you 2 at a time, I think. And they're also stronger now. Like the ones that Cam has that he showed when I was on his show, it was only 4 milligrams. So apparently, you know, the people who are making the Narcan are realizing this, and they're making it stronger to begin with, which is good. Let's see. Yeah, she could have at least tried instead of robbing him for all his shit. I swear to God, I still want to get this bitch, but how long does the Narcan still get it? Let me see. So I don't see an expiration on it. Oh wait, check product expiration date before use. Oh, August 2023. So I ordered this probably a month or 2 ago. So it's good for like a little over a year, it looks like. So you've used it before, Daniel? That's interesting. I've never had to use it, obviously, yet, but just in case, I have it. So yeah, I'm in California, so I know that in some states they've been on the whole like free Narcan thing. And I'm pretty sure that now if you get prescribed some kind of opiate, that that they will give you Narcan as well. So, and it's crazy too, because what they did with like big pharma, they got a whole shit ton of people across the United States hooked on pain medication. And they were just prescribing that shit like it was candy, you know? And then they took it all away a while back. And they closed a lot of pain clinics. And now it's really hard to get. And even when you're on it, it's like you have to take it even if you don't feel pain that day, or you might not need it, because you get tested when you go to the doctors and they want to make sure that you're taking your own pain medication. So now people have to take it instead of like as needed, they have to take it as prescribed. So like that's a problem too. It makes it a lot more difficult for people who actually require pain medication. So, you know, that's something that actually I want to share a video with you guys really quick, because I had just yesterday or the day before, I saw a News Nation segment about the pharmaceutical industry. So let me pull that up really quick while we wait for Kim. Let me see. So, okay.
Acting Director of the CDC's National Center for Injury Prevention and Control, Dr. Christopher Jones. Dr. Jones, I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
And first of all, help explain for us, why did the CDC want to change these guidelines? Why was it important?
Well, a couple of things. CDC first put out guidelines around opioid prescribing in 2016. And at that time, we indicated that we would update the guidelines when new scientific information became available. And what we've seen really since that time is that the science of pain care, how opioids work, where they're effective, where non-opioid medications and where non-pharmacological treatments or non-medication treatments are effective, the science has advanced. But we've also heard from the challenges that patients and providers face in providing care and giving care for their pain. And this guideline provides an opportunity to update, based on the latest science and the human story, how best to approach pain care in the U.S. Sometimes that includes prescribing opioids, but in many cases, non-opioid medications or non-medication treatments actually do better. And that's one of the key messages that we're trying to put out with the guideline.
I completely understand what you're saying, and we have certainly read the CDC is hoping to, quote, ensure that patients get compassionate and safe pain care. You just heard our analyst saying, you know, it is perhaps problematic optically of being too cozy with the pharmaceutical industry. How would you respond to that?
Well, certainly the pharmaceutical industry had no input on the development of the guidelines. This was done through an open and transparent process where CDC experts engaged with outside scientific experts, as well as other agencies within the Department of Health and Human Services who are experts in pain care as well as addiction. We also put the guidelines out for public comment and heard comments from over 5,500 patients, professional organizations, practitioners who are providing pain care every day, people who are dealing with the addiction crisis in the country. But there was no influence from the drug industry for how these guidelines were developed. They're based on the latest science as well as the human story about pain and pain care.
Appreciate that. The big question I have to ask you, is the CDC worried about these guidelines softening, leading to opioids continuing to be overprescribed?
Well, I think, again, if you look at the actual guidelines, often what we're saying is that we should really optimize non-medication treatments, non-opioid medications, and really reserve opioids for when there is a clear-cut case that they are likely to benefit and that you're paying attention to the potential risk. Basically, if the type of pain is severe enough or a type of pain that's likely to benefit more than have a risk for opioid use disorder or overdose, then opioids could be considered. They should be done in a very thoughtful way and a cautious way, starting with the lowest dose for the shortest duration possible. But we really emphasize that there is evidence to support many other types of pain treatment before you get to opioids. But we did learn from the 2016 guideline experience that when we put out recommendations, we need to be very clear that it's not one size fits all. Pain comes in many different ways. And we want to make sure that patients and clinicians have the flexibility to use opioids if they're needed. But an ultimate goal here is to improve pain, quality, function, as well as reducing the potential harms like opioid misuse, use disorder, and overdose.
Yeah, and certainly no neighborhood in our country is untouched by fentanyl at this point. And we were just, speaking with a mother earlier today who lost her son to a fentanyl overdose. She and other parents are concerned, and certainly there is no single solution. This is a multi-pronged, very difficult situation, but concerned that making it easier for doctors to prescribe opioids will only make the situation worse. What would you say to parents like her?
Well, certainly I would want to say I'm sorry for the loss and the loss of many parents for young people who've died, and really across the lifespan, hundreds of thousands of people who've died from an overdose in the last decade. But what I would say is that we're operating on all cylinders at CDC, working with our federal partners, working with criminal justice, public safety, our addiction partners, our professional societies, really with a full court press to address what is illicit fentanyl, not prescription fentanyl, but illicit pills that are coming in from Mexico and China that are really what are driving overdose deaths. So part of that is expanding access to naloxone, raising awareness that people might be getting a pill from a friend that they think is a painkiller, but it's really highly lethal, potent fentanyl. We need to raise awareness about that. We need to help people who are addicted get into treatment and stay into treatment and ultimately get into recovery.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
The explosion of fentanyl in our neighborhoods.
Oh, crap.
The leading
Hold on.
cause of
Sorry,
death
guys.
for American adults. And there is new data out now this week showing just how likely one is to come across the deadly drug. The DEA.
Okay, there we go. My bad. Okay, so yeah, so at least they're realizing, it's important for them to have some kind of balance on this whole thing, because you can't just get everybody addicted to opiates and then make it really hard to get them to where now they have to go to the streets and either get on heroin or buy pills from, random drug dealers or whatever. And then now at this point in time, we know that most stuff is laced with fentanyl, or it just is fentanyl. So yeah, that's pretty much the stuff that I wanted to say. I'm like, Cam should be here soon. And let's see what's going on in the chat. What happened to your sister, Stony? She overdosed? Did she survive? That's really sad. Oh, there's a TED Talk on opiates. I haven't seen that, but I like TED Talks a lot, so I will have to look that up. Let's see. I'm just reading the chat. Let's see. You know what? September Virgo. I'm the same way. Like, the only time I take medicine is pretty much if I have a migraine and I take Excedrin. And it's like, even then you got to take it like when it first starts. Otherwise, the migraine's going to be intense anyways. So, but I'm the same way. Like, I try not to take Tylenol, not to take Advil, not to take anything unless I'm like absolutely dying. Because, even when you're sick and they tell you like to take Tylenol or Advil to reduce your fever, that's actually counterproductive because you get a fever from your body actually fighting off infection. So then when you put a halt to that, it's like your immune system takes a break from fighting the infection. Like, it's actually a good sign when you have a fever, when you're sick, provided it doesn't get too high, you know? So I don't really take medicine either. I just sleep it off if something's wrong. Like I said, unless it's migraines, because that is a whole other level of pain. Let me see. Thank you for sharing your story and educating us on this. Well, at least for me. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Damien is in his room doing, I don't know, who knows what. He's a teenage boy. I don't even want to think about what he's doing. He's probably playing with his VR or something. But yeah. She survived. I was there, gave her mouth to mouth. Very sad and hard for me to forget. Well, she's lucky that she had you there. And you're lucky that you were there, you know? I wish I had been there when Mark was overdosing, because it might have not turned out the way that it did for him. I had a Zoom meeting this morning with an astrologist / tarot reader / medium. And she told me that, because I had asked her like if she could try to communicate with Mark for me, and she one of the things she told me was that before I told her how he died, she was like, was it an accident? And then I was like, well, kind of. And she goes, I want to say car or motorcycle accident, but she was like, he keeps telling me that it was a very what was the word she used? Undignified way to die. And I was like, well, he overdosed. And she was like, okay, that would make sense how it was an accident, but it was still like undignified, you know? And it's just like, yeah, I mean, like, that's going to be the last memory everybody has of him forever, is that he died from a drug overdose, you know? And he was really big in like Narcotics Anonymous and stuff. So I feel like it probably disappointed a lot of people, even though like, fuck them, because they weren't there for him when he needed them, when he was relapsing and stuff. Like, they only wanted to be his friends, you know, if he was willing to get sober, which, you know, they should know from experience that you can't force someone to do that. And maybe they should have just met him where he was at and been there for him. But, you know, I know he had a lot of resentments to like his motorcycle club and stuff over the way that they treated him after he relapsed. But let's see. Oh, you get migraines too? Yeah, they're terrible. I'm like, I don't know why that even started happening in my life. It was only a couple years ago that I started getting them, but they're totally disabling. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm sorry we're running a little bit late. I'm making my way over the computer. Allie's sitting in front of it. That's why I sound far away.
That's okay. So if everybody doesn't know, this is Cam and Allie from Cracking Cases. They have a great true crime channel on YouTube. They focus mostly on the Summer Wells case, and they've been boots on the ground in that case. They've done a lot of research and stuff lately into like a lot of police corruption and things that are going on in that area of the country, which I really respect, because so many people are scared to talk about that kind of thing.
Even nationwide too. That last night was actually the case we were going over last night was a cop that's actually from where we are from, and he policed this area and then drove all the way to California, where he was was responsible for a triple unaliving and then abducting a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, and so that guy was that's what was so scary to us, is like, this is somebody that if we were to ever had to have called the police over something, that person that could have been the cop that shows up and
saw our kids,
and you don't know if the cops eyeballing your children. It's scary, and everybody's seen how the corruption is over in Hawkins County. I mean, it's very possible that when Don Wells said this is bigger than what anybody thinks that it could be something with the law enforcement over there. With the sheriff's son getting in trouble with messing with minors, and there's been how many cops now that's gotten in trouble?
Gosh, so many
over there for one cop that used to work as a corrections officer out of Hawkins County, transferred to Sullivan County and was busted by the feds, thinking he was going to meet up with a 4-year-old girl
and her mother.
Because
apparently there's mothers out there that do that.
That's so crazy. Poor Summer.
Yeah.
The more time that goes on with that case, the more I feel like it really could have been an abduction.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that it might really be like some kind of people in high up places involved or something, because why are there no answers? Why don't they say anything? Like it feels like they're not doing anything.
Right.
Exactly. And that part of the study that we were going over, and that's the problem. There's not really a lot of info out there on the cops that commit these crimes, because most of the time they won't press the agency won't press charges if it's like a county or city police or something like that, because they don't want that blemish on their agency. So they will just fire them, and they can go down the road and get a job somewhere else. Or
not even fire them. They will just let them
resign.
Resign. And then they will give them a recommendation for another agency to go straight back to work.
Well, but the part I was getting at with that though is when, if it was to be something like people in power targeting a child, what family would people not believe? Would be a family like Candace and Don. People have been in trouble. They're going to say, people are going to, if they were, police have the inside knowledge of how all this works. They'd be like, well, if we, because let me put it this way. We already know that there was a bunch of cops that worked for Ronnie Lawson that lived right around Summer, even going as far as Dawn's stepsister, or not stepsister, but step aunt, Mary Sexton, who passed away. Don Sherfy Sr. was a corrections officer for Lawson, his wife or girlfriend, whatever she is. So, if they were going to target Summer, they would say, well, look, will anybody believe the parents if they did say something like that? Of course not. Look how it's went.
Right.
Yeah, look at Dawn and Candace. They're a hot mess.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So
they look guilty as a motherfucker. Like they really do.
They do. They do. But that's the thing too. Like there's been, as if it wasn't for people, and I'll say it's people like us that didn't go with the majority, that looked outside the box and looked, I don't think we would know half the stuff that we have found out. Because
you guys have done really great work on that case. The cops aren't doing it. Somebody has to.
Right.
And we got a lot of hell for looking into other people, but there's been a lot more evidence that points to other things than
just Dawn and Candace.
Than just Dawn and Candace, like Jody Sue, for instance. So, and she's an informant for law enforcement, and who she could sit there and give said people in power everything they need to know what's happening on the Wells property.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just been crazy, but I didn't mean to get off subject with that. It's just last night was I don't know, I was very passionate about that, covering that stuff, because if we have to live in a time where we are scared of the people that protect us, or that are supposed to protect that took an oath to protect and serve, then it's a really fucked up time we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
So
And there's corruption everywhere. There's corruption in the area where I live, but it was, for a long time, it was like, tell on 3, you go free was
Yeah.
like the motto that was known around here,
Yeah.
and they would straight up tell people like, oh yeah, your friends set you up, like who are you going to set up? Like, why don't you work with us? And,
Yep.
now drugs are not even really like a crime here anymore. They basically cite and release if you get busted with something, unless it's like a really, really large amount or they want you for whatever reason. But for a minute, they were like setting people up with the tiniest bit of whatever and, planning stuff on people. And it was like, that was just a known thing that happened in this area. And, but I mean, that's the least of corruption problems. Like, it could get way worse, like the things that you're talking about, but it's still like, we can't trust law enforcement to just do what they're supposed to do a lot of times.
Well, people said body cams and stuff will hold them accountable now. Not really, because they have the power to turn them off, mute them, stop them when they want to. And I know from experience that they do that, because it happened to me in a case,
two separate
cases. It just conveniently, the part that where a cop messed up and he had lied and he had muted and turned his camera off. Conveniently, that's the part that would have, that I needed to walk free, to show that they were dirty. Well, when I had my lawyer, I told him, I said, I will take this to the box. I don't care. I don't want to hear any plea bar. I don't want to hear any offers. I said, I'm taking it to the box. You better find that clip that, because I knew they had it. They, it's just all convenient when you ask for a motion of discovery, then it just ain't there, or the sound wasn't working at that part of the video. But when I did that and said, I'm taking it to trials, it's funny how quick they dismissed all charges.
Yeah.
So, and it was something stupid. It was that somebody tried to set me up. They left a backpack in the back seat of my car, and I left them at Walmart. It was just a bad situation. Before I got, it's been years, and over 6 years ago, they had somebody had stopped by our house at 12 at night. I was trying to keep myself away from everybody, and it come to find out these people had got pulled over, and then just the cop had let them go to try to set somebody up, like you said. They walked to my house, asked for a ride, wanted my wife to give them a ride. I said, no, I'll give you a ride. Took them to Walmart. They were in there forever. And I was like, they're stealing or something. I'm leaving. I left, and as soon as I pulled out of Walmart parking lot, blue lights, I did nothing wrong. And it's conveniently, what got the cop was, I already know whose backpack it is because I pulled him over. He said that.
Yeah, he said,
they don't even have any shame. They're like, your friend did this to you. Like,
And then, so like when I knew my rights, and I knew how the system works. So I just said nothing. I just let him keep sitting there and talking. Well, when I went to my lawyer, like I said, I brought it up to him, and they don't have that part. I said, well, get ready for trial then. So it got dropped. But that's this little corruption, and the level that we're thinking that's happened in these cases, and that we've seen with this guy, for this cop that drove across to Riverside, California, and did that. How did the police not see signs of that? Like, that just really makes
before hiring.
Not hiring, while you're working with them.
They give them lie detectors and all that, but a true sociopath can pass.
Exactly.
They believe their own lies,
Exactly. I said that last night, as they convince themselves, but if a cop can, allegedly these cops can, it makes you question, who are they out there really arresting? Because I know from being on the criminal side of it, that you can hear by the way people say things, or in conversation, the little stupid jokes they make. Like, he had to say something that was alarming. Well, we looked at his social media, the cop we were looking at his social media, and people were like, I used to work with this guy. Yeah, he was odd. So the cops, people that worked with him at Lowe's
and Walmart
picked up on that, but the cops didn't.
Aren't they supposed to interview people when they do their background check anyways?
Supposed to. And it's not like that he was working for, he He had just graduated the academy in January of 2022. He immediately got hired by the Virginia State Police, which is, the biggest agency here in Virginia. They got the most jurisdiction. He resigns in October.
Allegedly.
That's what it. Well, no, it said he resigned,
yeah,
but that's what it said. Which who knows if they gave him
an option to resign.
They said either you can resign or we could fire you and put out. It could be something. We're that's speculating, but I mean, he resigns, then he gets hired by Washington County Sheriff's Office, and on November the 16th. And goes and commits that on Black Friday.
Not even 10 days after he just got a brand new job.
He probably hadn't even worked a shift yet.
That's crazy. Because it's a compulsion, obviously. He just felt like he had to. It's...
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with people.
Well, I don't know how long you've been covering, and this is the last thing I'll say. I don't know how long you've watched you remember the Richard Honecker case we were talking about where they found... they had found 5 other bodies around him.
No.
I don't know if you saw that. Well, that's where this cop is from, Richlands. And so we had covered a case. Their family had reached out, and it didn't make sense. I'll take a long story short. Like, his autopsy said blunt force trauma, but he was literally ripped in half and was found 11 months later in the same place that family had searched over and over and over and over, like right beside a tree that he hung out at all the time.
Oh, you know what? I think I may have seen something that you guys did on that. Now that you say that.
So I'm going as far as to think, did this guy So they found 5 other bodies. All their names start with R. It's in a small patch of woods. It's not even. I mean, it is so small. It's in the middle of town. All their names started with R. Another guy, they said he drowned, but that his autopsy showed that he had no water in his lungs or anything. And he was beat to death. We spoke to his daughter. It makes you think: did this guy, was this his practicing ground? And then he, became a cop when he got scared, and then he ran. That really needs to get looked into more, because we just heard that they fired the cop that closed these cases, and they're reopening all those cases again. So maybe there's a reason that it was almost like serial killer status over there. It's straight strange.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, but thank you for having us on. Sorry I was late.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, you're fine. I want to address this question on the screen really quick. Narcan is only for opiates.
Right.
So it basically counteracts the effects of the opiates and puts them into immediate withdrawal symptoms.
Exactly.
So, but it doesn't use or it doesn't work for any other kind of drugs. But
even like if people wrote Subutex that doesn't have the Narcan in it, that's just buprenorphine. If people are on fentanyl and they do their say they wrote Subutex and they came off of that and did fentanyl for a week, if they were to even do the buprenorphine without the Narcan in it, it'll send you into withdrawal too, because it's called precipitated withdrawal, and it fights to cover the receptors in your brain, and which will send you into immediate instant withdrawal. It's crazy. So I just read about that and have heard people talk about that, and I'm like, that is crazy. Like that just goes to show you how strong fentanyl is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I know that this is a subject that's also very close to home with you guys.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to ask you guys if you could give us a background on why this topic is important to you or how it's affected your guys' lives.
Well, okay. So, I'm a recovering addict. I've battled addiction my whole life since I was 15 years old. I wasn't really on fentanyl was kind of before my time. That doesn't mean that right when that I hadn't, had not experimented with it a few times early on. But my brother, it has taken a hold of his life. And I've been watching people that are very close to me fall out and die left and right from my past, and it's really scary. And that's, hold on, sorry for all the noise.
Oh, you're okay.
But yeah, that's basically, it's strong in my heart, because I don't want to see any more people that I love just be gone. Like, I'll give you an example. A guy named Timmy Lawson, that was one of my best friends. He had got his life together. He was on it really bad. He got his life together and was teaching recovery groups and everything. It kind of made me flattered, maybe because he did the same thing I had done when I got my life together and became certified as a facilitator and all that. Well, he slipped one time and he died. Then there's, we had one of my friends that he actually saved my life. And when I was 14, me and my mom were hit by a tandem coal truck. They thought I was already dead. The guy who was driving the tandem coal truck didn't even attempt to try to pull us out of a vehicle, try to help anybody. I didn't know my friend Chris at all at that point in time. None of us knew him, but him and his dad stopped and pulled my mom, my baby brother, out of the car. They thought I was just a pile of clothes in the front passenger seat, because I was smashed up under the dashboard and my hip was broke. Well,
Oh my goodness.
he said, no, that's somebody, and he pulled me out of it. And if it wasn't for him, I would be dead today. Well, he had not long ago. This is something that I got really mad at Prayer Garden over, because she doesn't understand. I hadn't seen this guy in a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. And he stopped by because my wife is a nurse. Something was wrong for him to stop by at 3 a.m. We're in bed, and he comes in and just falls out, turns gray. Me and Allison had to put, do CPR. I'd never done CPR on anybody. We did CPR on him 15 minutes, did 3 nasal Narcans on him before he took a breath. And the cops came in and they gave him another one. And all I'd ever known him to do was really drink, smoke weed. So this, I was like, when he came back to, I was like, what did you do? What, he said, I just didn't feel good. So he never would admit what he did, but we knew that's what it had to have been.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And, so it's been, that's not even all the people. Who else, babe? I mean, so many people have died. Huh?
Brother.
Oh, yeah. Before I even go in for, I have 2 brothers from my mother, and I have 2 brothers from my biological dad, and a woman he had got with. My mom, I didn't know that I had even had any other brothers till I was 16. I didn't know that my dad, the guy I call my dad, was my adoptive dad till I was 16, because he never treated me different. Well, when I did meet my biological father, my mom finally told me everything. I only got to meet my brothers from my biological dad's side just very few times. Well, my one brother, Cody, he was a couple months younger than me. We're about the same age. He died in 2020 from fentanyl overdose.
He had also gotten his life.
Yeah, he had got his life together and slipped and died. And Jamie Loftus, it's another one of my friends. He died, and we brought him back. That's been years ago. I've just had so many people in my life, and I'm not even counting. Like, that's just a few. Like, I try not to think about it, because it's so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, it's very important to me, because it's also important as well, because these people are not, it's not, when you hear about this, main people that don't know much about or know people that have these problems, they're not all bad people. They're not bad people at all. They just have a problem. They have addiction issues. And sometimes you'd never know. It's not like they're out here robbing people or doing that. They're just, they have a sickness and they think they mess up and they end up dying.
Yeah, they're trying to cope with some kind of trauma.
Yeah. And I can easily understand how easy it is to fall short, but then you fall short one day and you don't come back. That's scary.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, is that now it's like you don't even have to worry about just, your loved one getting high. It's like they might actually die from it.
Exactly. It's become too much. And for the simple fact that I'll tell you something that pissed me off worse than anything is when, after we did the live on my channel, when we talked about this, for Prayer Garden to go and make the joke she did and condescending remarks saying, I don't keep that in my house. She actually started calling me Narcan. And I was like, boy, that's actually a compliment now, because everybody accuses me. I said, if I'm saving lives, then that's a compliment to her. I don't know. She had me so freaking pissed off. Like,
I know. I was watching that. I was angry too. I was like, really? Like, oh, God forbid that. Like, we've experienced things where we've lost people, so we want to save somebody else from having to experience that pain. Like, that makes us terrible people, right?
Exactly. And it's like you said, and it's because we want, just because you have it on hand doesn't mean that that's what you have people at your house all the time doing it. It means
I don't hang out with anybody like all the time or anything that is on any kind of opiates or anything. It's just like, just in case, it could be a stranger that I save one day, or hopefully I'll never have to use it, but I got it just because I know what that loss feels like. And I don't think somebody should be attacked for wanting to have Narcan on hand. Like, that was ridiculous.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It knocked my mic out for some reason. Oh, that's blurry. Hold on, I'm gonna turn that back off. Yeah, it was glitching all over the place. But yeah,
you guys are cute. I love you guys. I can't hear you now if you're talking. I think something happened. It doesn't show that you're muted, but
my mic is shorting out right
there. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to sit this way. All right, my mic is shorting out for some reason. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. I don't know where we were because I freaked out when my mic went out again.
Well, just talking about having Narcan available, because like you said, you don't know if it's going to be even a stranger one day. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many calls in this area where we live of people even in the Walmart parking lot that have OD'd.
Yeah. And so have sat there for days because people, this is the thing, people, if you come from a life of being into drugs or addiction, one of the main, like I guess secrets is that the more in plain sight you do things, the less people look at you. So, like, these people were literally ODing, and the Walmart parking lot be dead for 3 days before somebody really notices them.
That's sad.
It is. It's so sad.
But you never know when you could be walking in and see somebody and be able to save their life.
Yeah. That's true, because you were proactive and you realize that this is a nationwide problem. And that people, it affects more people than what people can even imagine. Like when we did the show where you came on our channel, you should, like, the amount of people that were in our chat that said, my family member, this family member, that family member, me, or, I'm not saying me, but I'm saying like them speaking for themselves, saying I deal with this, or so many people related with that. And, there was a few little smart ass comments that were like, this is not true crime. I'm like, well, actually it is.
Yeah, kind of. You know, it's crazy because somebody in Prayer Garden's chat, when she was talking all that shit about you, somebody in her chat was like, oh, I had overdosed on heroin, and there was a stranger who luckily had Narcan and was able to save me while I waited for the paramedics. And she was like, oh, well, that's good that person was able to do that for you, but I look at that as a divine intervention from God. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe I want to be somebody's divine intervention one day if need
Right.
be, you know?
Well, I mean, we can even, like I told you when you told me about that, like, yeah, we can say that God put you in the right place at the right time to be able to save that person, but to have that Narcan, that's because people are proactive. God gave a doctor the knowledge to invent Narcan, which then puts, it's not like the way I know the way she tried to put it out there, like it really, like you said, it really wasn't the Narcan that saved him. It might have been God too. He's on, he might have been looking out for you. But the thing is that Narcan, if that person wouldn't have had it, and that person wouldn't, and it's not just somebody that's on drugs that carries it in their purse. It's a school teacher. It's a mom. It's a cop. It's a firefighter. It's a paramedic. It's off duty. It's all walks of life. Because I know that if you get wrote a prescription of opiates in the state I live in, that they automatically have to write you a prescription of Narcan.
Yeah, they do it
By
here
law.
now too.
So, I don't know. It really pisses me off that, and she. This is where I was going. I don't want to say it. It pisses me off her behavior and how she just wants to be condescending to everybody. And I mean, because she doesn't understand it, but yet, she wants to talk about, she doesn't have to worry about Narcan. Well, she's over there. What is it? Her special brownie she makes. Well, she better watch out that her dealer isn't getting her bud from somewhere that somebody's laced it with fentanyl, because it happens.
Yeah, I've heard that they're even putting it in weed.
Yeah, exactly. That's what first thing I said when I heard her say, I just eat my special brownies and I go on a man, whatever she says. And I was like, yeah, well, you better hope that your special brownies don't have any fentanyl laced in it. Oh my gosh, she pisses me off. But I don't know if we talked about this on my live, but the regular 4 milligram Narcan nose sprays isn't working anymore for people.
Yeah, that's what I was telling them at the beginning, that the ones that you guys had were 4 milligrams and the ones that I have are 8 milligrams.
Yeah.
So obviously they're realizing that the 4 milligram isn't strong enough.
And they have an intermuscular shot one now too, or is it intermuscular? Or
yeah, you can't get that in California, but on the endoverdosed.net website, they do say that for some of the states, that's what they send you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they, like I said, with that one guy that saved my life out of the car wreck, it took 4 milligram nasal nose sprays before he even, in 15 minutes of CPR, he had no pulse.
No pulse and no breathing.
And he's okay now, or is
Yes.
he kind of slow?
He came back. We brought him back before the cops even got here. Me and Allie, it's scary. I was screaming on the phone with 911. I probably sound like, I was the probably highest pitch I've ever been screaming in my life. And
it was terrifying.
It was terrifying because he turned gray and just fell out.
And we didn't know what was going on. And we started CPR on him immediately. And then I thought, well, we have that Narcan up there, so let's try it because we don't know what he's done.
So, yeah, dude, after what? We sit there and wait and nothing happens.
And
so
we're
I'm
still doing CPR and nothing's happening.
I'll tell you how hard I was doing CPR. I've never done it. But Allie said, where she is a nurse and licensed nurse, like she said I did really good. Like I felt like and the guy is very, very skinny. And, even him being as skinny as he is, like when he was wearing these slick pants and he would slide off the edge of the bed, and I would have to pick him up. It was dead weight. He was so heavy, but I was doing CPR, and it felt like I was breaking his sternum. I was going so hard.
I think you're supposed to break a rib or two if you're doing
Yeah.
it correctly, right?
Yep. If you are doing it correctly, you will break bones.
Yep. So yeah, that was it. I mean, that really scarred me, that one. And what was weird about it, after we got him back breathing, and I was like, dude, I said, I guess we're even now, right? I said, you saved my life in a car wreck. I said, I saved yours. I was 14 then. I said, I guess we're even now. I just wanted him to leave, because he came back and was very condescending and hateful. And he's like, I'm like a cockroach. I always bounce back. I said, bro, you weren't going to bounce back, son. And, I just couldn't believe how he was acting. I was like, you got to leave. Just go home. And the cops that came here were like, you got to take him to the hospital, because he refused to get on the ambulance. And I said, we can't make a grown man who is 20 plus years older than I am. I can't tell him what to do. I just, I want him to go home. I don't want him here. It's not my responsibility. He stopped by here. We just wanted to make sure that he was okay. And I mean, he was refusing to go to the hospital. I tried to get him to go to the hospital. Well, the cops were so they were shitty to us.
They were so rude to us.
They were rude to us. And I said, listen, we saved his life. And they were being rude to my wife. And I said, she has more of a degree than anybody here in this room.
I had my stethoscope around my neck when they walked in.
They started changing their tone a little bit then, and I knew one of the paramedics, and I was like, listen, man, you know me, and you know everything about me. I said, he finally said something to them and got them to lay off a little bit, but I was like, look, this is why people don't call most of the time when people do fall out like that, because this is where you treat them.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what they do. Now, they're not supposed to be allowed, if they come on an OD call, to be able to harass, charge anybody unless there's something that is laid out there, and like say they come into a party house where somebody did it. Now, I guess they could probably do something then, but if somebody calls you and tells you everything that they know, there's for the cops to come in and steal, like they were separating me in my own house. I said you can. Yeah, me and Allison, and I was like, you're not going to get a different story, because this is the only story.
I mean, it's the truth.
And it was great, because when he woke up and talked to them, his story was the exact same. I said, I looked at him and I said, can we please move on to what's important now and saving his life instead of y'all trying to hem somebody up? And I mean, it was just a bad experience. So then it made me think, I'm like, this is why people don't call you guys. Mm-hmm. This is why people don't reach out, and this is why people get left in ditches and shit, because they're afraid that even if they don't have anything to do with it, say they pick somebody up and they die in their car and they know nothing about it and they save them, they're feared that they're going to jail. Now, there is people like in your situation with your boyfriend. That girl, she should have been investigated and looked into.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, because here in California, they're almost like way too lenient with it, where they're just like, oh, okay, well, they had a drug problem. Okay, overdose. Like, like it's no big deal. And they just walk away. And I'm like, she should get in trouble for not calling 911, though. Like, she should get in trouble for doing it to him. But at the same time, like, and that's what bothers me, too, because she didn't call 911. Now, if she did, then I would say, like, yeah, he's a big boy. He made his own choices. That was the consequences of his actions. But the fact that she didn't even try to get him help, that's what pissed me off. And I was like, why did they not take that into consideration and do something about that?
Yeah.
But then again, at the same time, it's like you're talking about in other states where they don't have those like Good Samaritan protection laws, people do just get left in a ditch somewhere or whatever. Yeah. I feel like if she had been able to pick up Mark's body and carry him out somewhere, she probably would have.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't even have to worry about that here. Like, that's what's so angering about the whole thing, but
in where we live, it's more small town. So they don't have anything to do anyway. So it's starting to change actually around here
it's
now.
scary now.
It's changing now because there's so many people, like I said, that are just falling out daily. And like we hear on these scanner apps and that we have on Facebook that whole trailer parks of people are falling out in different towns. And you're like, one night we counted how many calls?
In one night, in 3 hours, there was 6 different overdose calls in our area.
Yeah, and not just one person at a time, like multiple people.
It was multiple people in the Walmart parking lot, multiple people in a trailer park, and then there was a few more, but I know there was multiple people at both of those places.
But we're watching this in real time as it happens in these areas, and what if those people didn't call 911? Well, you think that? Let's put it this way: how many people didn't call?
Mm-hmm.
How many people didn't get help when they really needed it? That's scary.
Yeah, and it's obviously, if it's all happening in the same night, somebody got a bad batch.
Exactly what I said. Exactly. Yep, bad batch came in. Or either it's too strong, somebody didn't cut it, somebody didn't tell somebody, and that's the thing we talked about too on our. That's another thing Prayer Garden had some comments about, was that we were talking about how, what was it that she said is, it pissed me off so bad. She said something to the effect that we were talking about what kind of these dealers are killing off their clientele, and it just makes no sense. And like, why would you do that? Like people don't care about people anymore. It's all about the almighty dollar. So these people don't care to give whole communities full of straight tar fentanyl that'll wipe people out with a crumb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this. It makes no sense to me. Oh, that's okay. Let's just let's kill the people that that's not very business savvy, if you ask me. Like,
you would think, but I mean, they probably just figure more will line up and take their place.
Yeah.
And it's true, because I mean, it seems to be happening around here every day.
Yeah.
Yep, here too. I had heard a story about like 2 brothers both dying in the same night because they bought like what they thought was cocaine from somebody at a bar, and then they did a line, and then they both fell out at the bar like at the same time, and it's like that's crazy. I didn't know them, but like a lot of people that I know knew who they were.
Yeah, like you said, and like that's another thing. Like the colors, it varies. You never know. Like from what I've seen from my brother and the things he's told me, like it can be blue, it can be green, it can be white, it can be gray, it can be tan, it can be dark brown.
That's why you have to be careful too, because then you don't know if they're like, if medications you are taking are actually, because if somebody is getting narcotics, like if they are buying opiates.
We talked about that on our live, where the one, a lot of the prescriptions people, that what the Mexican pharmacies are calling Xanaxes, that's most likely 80% fentanyl.
That's crazy too. Like, even if you just go over the border, because a lot of people here in California will do that. Like if they need antibiotics or they need, just whatever kind of medication, a lot of people that don't have health insurance, like that's always been a thing that you could just go get it from Mexico really quick and come back over the border, and it's no big deal. But it's like when they're selling the pills in the Mexican pharmacy and they're laced with fentanyl, or they're counterfeit and they're just pure fentanyl, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, I think you said that you had watched that Vice documentary on the Vice channel where that woman went over across the border and she was checking the potency of like Xanaxes and what they call oxycodone, and she tested it and it was 3 times the strength of what it should have been. Like what a real, like the real oxycodone 10 was. It was like the strength of an 80 or something. I mean, it's insane.
Back when I was younger, when I was like 18, 19, 20, I used to go to raves all the time, and like, I mean, to be honest, like I did a lot of ecstasy. Like
Yeah.
I took pills like every single weekend when I would go to raves. And I'm just glad like now that this wasn't happening back then, because I'm sure they would have been all fentanyl pretty much. I mean, we had to just worry about like drinking enough water.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So your brain doesn't get dehydrated.
yeah,
I
it's
went,
like you stay hydrated and you're good. Like, just take a break, like sit down if you're hot, like no big deal. Even though people would die off that, but that's probably because they got dehydrated,
yeah.
not because it was a bad pill.
And that's speaking about that. Like I saw something too where they were showing how easy it is for people to buy their own pill presses now, and that's how they're doing it too. Like not even having to go across like into Mexico or some people that have a fentanyl connection. Like I said, if they get the blue powder, they can press it themselves because they get so obtainable
Right.
to get a pill press.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, it's scary. And like you're saying, like with back in the day, I mean, I took ecstasy and I took Molly and stuff like that, and Molly's usually powder form. So
Oh yeah, I would definitely not want to do that because it's probably not Molly at all.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think the way that we approach it and have talked about it, like people like Prayer Garden, she was, and other people, I'm sure she's not the only one, people that just have completely closed minded and act like the world around them is not happening. We talk about it the way we talk about it because we've experienced things and we've seen it. And if you don't have some kind of like mental barrier, like it'll tear you down quick. For months after that guy, what that happened in our home, me and Allie were shaking. We were shook. Like it bothered us really bad.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine. I'm sure that had to be traumatic for both of you.
It was.
It was.
And it wasn't the first time that we had that happen back in the day. Like the guy Timmy I was telling you about that passed away before he got clean. It usually would take one nasal spray and they come back instantly. Even my other buddy Jamie, same thing. You'd hit them with the 4 milligram nasal spray and they would come back instantly. That's not happening anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. And talking about Kensington in Philadelphia, they call it zombie land now because the streets are literally lined with people that are stand up, knotted out, looking like zombies. And the police can't even fight it because there's so many people that are using right on the street. If y'all haven't seen that, I suggest y'all, if you have Netflix or you have Discovery Plus or Vice, or even just get on YouTube and look up Kensington in Philadelphia and type in Zombieland. It will blow your mind.
Yeah, right here in our own country.
Yeah, right in our own country. And the police, you see them driving up and down and they're watching this, but how do you fight that? Like they're like, okay, so I lock up one person when there's 100 more in within eyeshot of they're doing the same thing. Like it, and that's just the understatement of how many people that are out there, and they live out there because it's that accessible. You just go stand on the side of the road and people will just serve you.
And I know we were also talking about that the places where they do like the where they give out the clean needles and everything.
Clean needle exchange, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, like I was saying on your guys' show, like I feel like that's good in a way to prevent disease and everything, but at the same time, it's totally enabling people.
Right.
It is, but the way I think they look at it too is like, so they give them a booth, they give them somebody that sits there and helps them with it, and they watch them in case they OD. And I think another one of their arguments is, well, we can save them if they're doing it here. We can make sure they're not dying. But,
yes, that's great.
That's great, but at the same time,
they're slowly dying, though.
Yeah, slowly dying. You're allowing them to come in there and be protected, which I I don't know how
I'm
I feel
very
about
conflicted with it myself.
jail. Is
I
not
don't-
a good.
No.
It's not a good rehab. It does not.
It's not
99% of the people I know, and me included, jail did not help me come off of drugs. It made me meet people and be easily able to access them more when I got out. For years and years and years. Yeah, I mean, it depends on who the person is. If it's your time, if you're going to wake up, you're going to wake up. And it's either, because that's where, ultimately that's where it lays, is with the person. When they're ready.
It's your own will, You could go to rehab 50 times and it's not going to do anything if you don't want to get clean.
right.
But this is, I've said this a few times on my channel. I don't know if you've heard me, but so they're in the country of where is it? Portugal. So they have a 99.8% success rate. They decriminalized all drugs. So when somebody does have a drug problem, what they do, instead of putting them in jail and locking them away and treating them like an outcast, they go through a treatment program. But then when they come out, they give them a job that is worth where they can actually make a living, where they can actually afford a home. They help them get a home, get a start where they feel like they're part of the community and not outcast. And people, when they get put into those situations, they don't want to go back to that, because they're like, look at all of this now that I've been able to obtain through my sobriety, through me being able to have support instead of being shunned away and told I'm a piece of shit and told that I'll never succeed.
Well, that's true too. Even people who are addicts who have jobs and stuff, a lot of times they don't, even if they might want to ask for help deep inside, they don't want to, because then they have to tell their boss that they need a leave of absence so that they can go to rehab.
Yep.
There's, such a stigma that's attached to addiction. And so people don't even want to ask for the help that they need.
That's right.
Because they don't want to be labeled like that for the rest of their lives.
Right. And most of the people and most of the people that fight addiction and are dealing with addiction, people would never guess that they have a problem. There's a lot of functioning parents, functioning people that have very well paying jobs, lawyers, doctors, pharmacists. I've
been around functioning addicts and alcoholics my entire life.
Right. And you would never know until something happens, or either they let you in or they make a mistake and get pulled over for a DUI or something like that, and then it gets brought to light. But people are like, I would have never guessed that. But it's a bigger problem than what people even think. And and just like you said, they're afraid to be like, hey, I need help, even though they might want to, because they know, hey, this is my career. Especially if they're a doctor, a lawyer, or a judge or something like that. What they come out and say, hey, yeah, I have a problem, before they, was to get in trouble or something, then their job's going to retaliate. They're going to say, well, you can't work here. You can't do that. And it ruins their whole life. So, if I believe addiction is more than just, I hate I hate it when people say, just stop. All you got to do is to stop. Just don't do it. Oh, okay. I'll do that tomorrow. I just won't do it. It's not like it's a disease.
Yeah, it's like, how about you just stop breathing?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how it feels when, that's what you rely on to be able to just get through your day.
Yes.
I'm all this woman on the screen right here. That's my big sister. And she's one of the only people I know who ever got off of something that she was addicted to and stayed off of it legit for it's been I don't know, 21, 22 years now that she's been off of crystal meth. But
awesome.
She went to jail and it actually changed her life because, she lost her kids and everything during that time. And it, it meant something.
That's what I said. It lies with the person and what they.
Yeah, but she wanted to, obviously. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done anything,
Exactly.
22, almost 23 years, she said.
Man, that's an awesome accomplishment, because
that's something to be very, very proud of.
It is. And I think another problem people have is when they do get on the road to recovery and sobriety, they are afraid to admit that if they ever fall short, that they say, hey, you know, I backslid or I fell short, that an addict will be the first one. You don't have to point out anything to them because believe me, they're kicking themselves hard enough. Addicts are probably the hardest people on themselves. They don't need other people to kick them when they're down. You know, and most of the time when they do backslide, they just give up. They're like, well, see, I can't do it. I'm a piece of shit. I'll never succeed. I mean, I'm speaking from how I think and how I used to think, you know, all the time. But then I learned going forward that, you know, you have to just pick it up right back then. Don't drag it out a year. And it got, you know, I'll be honest with you, like YouTube, you know, I thought when I came into true crime, I was like, you know, I'm so strong. I'm so strong. But when people heard my backstory and I couldn't even there for a while, couldn't even go live, couldn't even come on my channel without getting attacked saying I was doing this and doing that. You know, many times I wanted to be like, well, they already think that's me. Might as well be what they say I am. You know, I almost succumbed to that many times. And there was even a time in December of 2021 when everything happened on the Wells property up there, and Molly, Go Lightly, and all them came down like that. You know, I fell short and took nerve pills. I came on my channel and admitted to it because I wanted to hold myself accountable.
And then you get attacked for that. But it's like, you can't address a problem until you admit that it's a problem.
Yep. It's true. It's true. You know, that's what I made. That's what it was. I was going to say earlier that Prayer Garden said. She said she completely took what I said out of context. She said that I blamed my audience for my relapse. I wasn't even talking about me. I said it's very important that other people, that other creators and stuff don't say things that are unfounded and blame somebody, especially if they know they're a recovering addict. And no, you don't sit and make up things, but just because you're not happy with something they did, as far as looking into a case, why make up and say, well, they did this and did that and put this, you know, make it look like they're you know, try to make everybody come at them and attack them, because most addicts will run, like I said, and go say, well, you know, everybody already looks at me that way. Might as well be what they say I am. And say that person goes and does do something like fentanyl and they die. I'm like, you know, that if I was the person that came at that person and made up something, I'd feel like that person's blood was on my hands.
Well, you know what's sad is that they would probably just say, see, this is what I was talking about, without realizing that it might have been them that contributed to that person giving up like that.
It's true. And, you know, it took me, you know, I started taking longer breaks off of YouTube, and, you know, I actually pretty much self-sabotaged my channel because I had to take breaks off of it just to get my mind right to deal with it and come back and be stronger. Because I mean, like I said, I come in this thinking I was so strong, and a year and a half in, I'm like, man, these people, you know, they will literally rip you apart. And if anybody that says, oh, it doesn't bother me, or I don't let it get to me, well, obviously you know, you haven't been under the gun, like from a vast majority of them. They will say whatever, regardless if it's true or not. They will go real life and try to attack your family. They will try to attack your job. They will try to attack everything in your life, because
try to get your kids taken away from you.
Yes, because they are mad about something, and it's something stupid in the case. Well, how dare you give somebody the benefit of the doubt? I want to ruin your life. Oh, there's another thing, like Prayer Garden said, that she did this, and I'm going to keep pointing out her because she is a demon.
She's a piece of shit. Yeah, I'm all, go ahead, feel free on my channel. I don't care.
Same old bad. Like you see, I've put out all sorts of stuff about her, but she.
I'm like, well, I'm not monetized, so go ahead, unfiltered. Like,
she's a straight piece of shit, and she is. And she told me, what did she say? Because I met Allie when she was a student nurse. She was my nurse. I was in rehab. I met her one day We didn't hook up then. We didn't start dating then. It was like a month later after I'd got out. She said that Allie broke the code of ethics.
And that I should lose my nursing license because I married a patient.
And said that because
That's ridiculous.
Because she met me there, it must mean that she was stealing medication for me too. That's
While I
what
was
she said.
working at the hospital.
I'm
Like
sorry,
that-
but Prayer Garden makes up so many stories in her head and tells them to herself and makes them real. Like,
yes. Like, and when she said that, like, I was sitting there watching, I was in her chat watching this.
like,
And
how
I was
does that must mean that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But, you know, at the same time, me and her are sitting here so fucking pissed off because I'm like, this, I don't think well, they do. Prayer Garden's very aware of her influence.
Yeah.
She knows how she can influence people, and she knows the group that she has over there, that she can influence them by saying something like that, and they will go do her bidding and cause problems in people's lives. There's many creators that do that. And, you know, I refuse to be one of those people that would make up something and try to hurt somebody's children, their livelihood, their anything. You know, even with Summer's case, there was creators that weren't involved with like the searches and stuff that were attacking Nita Diver, got them to quit. And I'm like, you're not hurting me. You're not hurting Nita. You're hurting Summer. Because those people quit because you're jealous that you're across the United States and people are out here trying to help find a child. Like, where is jealousy coming from in the first place?
Yeah.
I mean,
they do it in every case. It happened with the Orrin and Orson West case. It happened with Summer. It's happening with the Dylan Rounds case. Like, people are just trying to get others to like give up and walk away.
Yeah.
And it's like, for what? Like, you're only hurting the person who's missing or, you know, was murdered or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, it is really sad. We feel I don't know how true crime was before we came in. You know, we were asked to go up there and film the trails on the Wells property. And that's where we left. We were searching out in the community. We didn't have anything to do with the Wells like people think. And, you know, were people involved, were creators involved in cases like that before? Because now we see these creators going to Idaho, going to all these other cases in Georgia, and they're causing hell and havoc in these places. I'm like, I'm like, surely to God, that's not, we never did that and wanted to be a part of anything like that. We wanted to help, but it's turned into some kind of, I don't know what the hell they call it now, because they're not helping. They're out there screaming and fighting with people and sending DoorDash to people and clowns. And I'm like, what is really going on? It's
because it's for entertainment. It's for clicks and views. It's not to actually help.
Right.
You know, and we've said it a million times, but there's so many people that didn't hear it. We have a daughter the same age as Summer. We live in this community. The whole reason we got involved was not for a channel, because we didn't even have a channel when Summer went mid. We got involved because we wanted to help and make sure that if, you know, I would want people in my community to come help me if something happened to my child. That's the same age, my little girl, that's the same age as Summer. You know, we wanted to be that because we're in the South, Southern Hospitality.
We were just going to send flowers to the Wells, and then it grew so much bigger.
And that's before we knew anything. We were just saying, hey, we're not going to judge you.
Right.
We're not, we're
thinking about you during this time with whatever is going on, and we are praying that your daughter will be
trying to be kind people. And what, you know, you can't do that. It's like, you know, it had to be turned into something else. And, you know, as far as the Wells go, that we see active addiction right there happening. And, you know, did it get worse after Summer went missing? I don't know. Obviously, she had those kids for 13 years before something happened with her. I don't know if it got worse beforehand or after. People ask, they're like, well, was she doing this before? I'm like, hell if I know. I didn't meet her till September. And, you know, Candace definitely doesn't open up to people. So, I mean, I can't answer that. It wasn't about Dawn and Candace to us. It was about Summer. It was about searching for a child. You know, yes, it's good to have good rapport with them so you could maybe find out anything that they're not saying and to lead you to go looking somewhere that people might have not already looked. But then again, I'm not their damn best friend. I'm not, that's not what it was about. And it's just, sorry, I went on a
Well,
tangent.
no, you know what else I've noticed too? I think that with some creators, they're worried about other people getting reward money. Even though the people who are actually trying to help, like boots on the ground, they're not concerned about reward money.
Don't care about the reward money at
Yeah,
all.
but it's the people who are pocket watching, who are not doing anything to contribute, that are worried about what if somebody else gets that money.
Right.
Yeah. This is all that, that, what did we say? From the biggest reward would be to find that child.
Yeah.
That's the reward.
To hug her.
Yeah.
Or to at least give
not money
justice to her.
Yeah, not money. The money,
No.
And we always said it was like if we were the ones that found her, that money would be turned around and given right back to her or her brothers. Because
I wouldn't even blame somebody for keeping the money if they were the ones who helped find the person or the child. Like, they deserve it as far as I'm concerned. Like, I would never be mad at somebody for that.
Well, see, that's that's just like, that even goes to show like our hearts, that was the last thing that and anything good we tried to do for her. Like, we tried to get involved with that billboard, of course, that piece of shit, 423 Chase, who the hell comes in, tries and has a pre-arranged thought to make money and steal money from people on a billboard
about a missing
child. Yeah. Who has that? Whose mind works like, obviously a lot of evil ass people, because everything that's been done for summer that's been meant for good has been turned into bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting.
It is. It truly is disgusting.
And
I know, I thought it was bad on the Orrin and Orson West case, but like when we did fundraising and stuff for billboards, like, they actually got billboards. You know what I mean? Well,
she actually got a billboard, and she wouldn't have got that digital billboard if it wasn't for us chasing truth, and a guy named Twister, and the subs that gave to we only took in donations for 1 or 2 days, and shut it down. And we raised $560 on our $569 or $580 somewhere in there, under $600. And Chasing Truth put in 200 or 150. It was something like that. And we were able to if it wasn't for our money and her money, we wouldn't have got that up for the 2 months or a month or however long it was up, because that dude, 423 Chase, had continued to take donations for 3 to 4 months without.
It was still taking donations after the billboard was gone.
Yeah. And I turned him in to the TBI. Guess what? They never even called us back about it. We turned him in he was supposed to go help on a search. Well, he didn't show up because he's a compulsive liar. He said, I got 4-wheelers and drones. He didn't have shit. Said he was a millionaire, said all this. Well, he said, well, wasn't there a shoe up there in the driveway? All y'all would have to do is grab it with a pair of needle nose pliers. I said, what the hell are you talking about? I immediately reported him to the TBI, and the person on the phone, this was early on in her case, said, this is good information. We're going to have an agent call you back. We heard nothing. He didn't even get the whole story from us. We tried. Like, he kept cutting us off. We didn't even get to tell him everything. And we kept calling back. Nobody would call us back. I'm like, if that's not a serious problem and you're not taking that serious, then what are you taking serious?
Nothing. Yeah, at this point, like, I continuously advise people in like chats and stuff, like, if somebody claims that they are fundraising, do not donate money to them. If it's a legitimate fundraiser, there will be a way for you to donate directly to the cause. Just because at this point, like, I've seen so many people just scam money,
Right. Good night, Devon. I saw you, and thank you. I saw what you said earlier in the chat. I wasn't trying to ignore him, but Yeah, you're exactly right. It's all about scamming money. It's all about you know, and they're not shy about it. Like people say, you'll if people want to see which people are grifting and taking money, look who has. Just go and look at the channel. Look and see who has a wish list. Go see who has their mods putting everything, asking for money. Go look and see, because they're not hiding it. They're not being secret about it. But yet we'll get accused of it, and we don't promote any of that. We never have asked for a single dollar, except for when we did run that billboard for 2 days. And I said then, after that, I said, I will never, ever be involved with anything that has to do with money ever again. Ever again. And because, and that's sad, man. I mean, and without even having to ask for funding, this is how we felt like we were blessed, because we felt like we were doing the right. We were able to help three children for Christmas last year, and give them, like, they were very underprivileged and they weren't going to be able to have a Christmas at all. We were able to go to Walmart with the parents and spend over $1,000 on those children, and we didn't have to ask for a single dollar. That's how blessed we felt. And I was like, well, if you're doing the right thing, then you'll be blessed. It'll come to you anyway. You don't have to ask for nothing. You don't have to ask for anything. And that's, and that's the way my heart will continue to be. And, if that means that, I've seen channels that had less subs than us jump on these trains that are skyrocket. I will stay in the same place. And I don't give a shit if I gain a sub. I would rather have 10 awesome, diehard, straight up cool people that are good-hearted people that follow me than have 50,000 wishy-wash. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
definitely.
I really would. And that's because I refuse, and I know Allie refuses to change and conform and be part of what they're trying to make it into.
And you guys have always been like so willing to give people chances and like try to work together and stuff, and it just backfires every time. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Every single time.
I'm all, especially with, I'm all certain someone that, like, I know exactly how.
Yeah. I think we're talking about the same one.
Yeah.
The one that if he gives somebody $5 gas, he has to put it in his community fund.
Yeah. Like now the whole channel is going to be called like something about giving back, and like.
Yes.
I remember one of the first times, I'm all side note, one of the first times I ever hung out with him, my friend Steve, AV Watchman, he had been doing a lot of like working with like the homeless and feeding the homeless and stuff. And like, I know because he lives right here by me and he's like my friend in real life, that he was actually like, they would go pick up food at Chick-fil-A every Thursday. They would get a bunch of chicken, and they would go to other places and get like produce and stuff. And they would go and hand it out to different places, and like even go to different like homeless camps around the area and stuff. Yeah. And it bothered that other guy like so bad. He told me, he's like, oh, I donate to the homeless all the time. I feed people at soup kitchens. I do this and that, but I just don't post it online like he does. And it's funny because like I talked to that dude all the time for like 4 months straight. And I never, like, not even once did he tell me like, oh yeah, earlier today I went and, I fed the homeless or anything. Like I never heard a story like that from him, even though he claimed it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, not in real life. You don't do that, bro.
Right.
Me and Allie died laughing one night because we were looking at his community post and it said, just gave $25. This is really going to help in the search for Dylan Rounds and the gas man. I was like, are you serious? I mean,
next thing you know, though, it'll be 1,000.
Yeah. But I mean, that's petty for him to have to say something about $25 donation that probably somebody asked, hey, bro, you got $25? My tire, but my credit card didn't go through. I'll give it back to you. Well, he's like, well, no, I'm going to get some credit for this.
I have a video on my page actually where I didn't make it. This other girl did. but she wanted me to post it because she doesn't have a channel. And it showed how he had donated $20 to the Gabby Petito Fund. And then he turned around later, like a couple months later, and was talking about, we donated $1,000 to Gabby Petito and all this stuff. And then like the video is great because it goes back and like circles the $20 that he showed on his phone when he held up.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
yeah. See that, and people in the chat, please know we're not talking about. You'll know who we're talking about if.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. I tried. That's another one. You talk about giving chances to
Gosh,
boys.
so many chances.
I tried and give chances. Like I'm still getting. I'll be honest with you. I'm still getting harassing text message from that guy, like sporadically. To like as late as like a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like still from different numbers, different spoof numbers. And he'll say, ha ha ha, try to get me on this one or something. I'm like, are you serious, dude?
But it's like the same language, the same tactics, like the same everything every single time. Like he obviously drank too many freaking seltzers and like hit the meth pipe a couple times.
He said, I'll put $1,000 up right now because I just want to make you hurt.
But then he said something else and he meant that he was gonna tackle you or something, and he said, "I'm gonna tickle you."
Yeah, he meant to say, "I'm gonna tackle you."
Oh yeah, and then he said, "I'm gonna pinch you instead of."
Yeah, I'm gonna pinch you. That's what it was.
I said in my remark that I was able to hold my cool that night, and I just kept saying stuff that kept like making him madder. I'd be like, "Oh, you're gonna pinch me? Ooh."
Yeah, oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Then he was talking about your wife's gonna be screaming my name and all this stuff. And I was like, bro, you can't even get your dick hard. Shut the fuck up. Like,
oh, he said my kids will be calling him daddy. I'm like, no, I doubt that, bro. I mean, like that right there. And I warned him, like I had that video made for how long? Months. And I told him, I said, if you don't quit, I said, I'm gonna put it out. And I said, I'm gonna show everybody just what you do. Yeah, right. Yeah, good luck trying to prove it. Like everybody, as soon as I put
everybody knows.
They were like, that. I know who that is.
Yeah.
He went as far to even like try to say, this is Benny or something.
No, he said, I'm working for Benny. We've been working together all this time.
Yeah, stupid stuff.
Even when he called CPS on me, he tried to blame it on Benny first, or like he tried to set it up to look like it was Benny. Because he doxed all my information to Benny first. Like he gave him my address, everything. Oh, and I was like, I know why he's doing that. So that I would think like there's a chance it's not him. But then he went and got on his own live stream and admitted that he's the one who called on me. And I'm like, you can't even keep up with your lies, bro. Like,
oh my gosh.
Like you tell on yourself, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know?
You're genius material.
He is.
I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Them skits, we saw that time period that he went. Yeah, I'm talking some shit. I don't care.
I don't care.
But he went through them skits, that skit period where he was doing them skits of him sitting on the toilet and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh.
He was Don Wells.
I was like, this is really sad. It was almost sad to watch. It really was.
It's like, bro, you're tweaking. Like, step back. Like,
yeah.
Like, do you watch this before you post it?
Right.
I really noticed some stuff towards this was over a year into Summer's case. He did not even know some of the fundamental basics of the case. And I was like, bro, I even called him out on it. I said, it's really sad that you have been sitting over there covering this and you don't know anything. And like he said, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I know it. I'm like, well, it really sounds like it because half the shit you said didn't even happen. One, two, either you fabricated or made up. And I mean, it just set him off. And I was like, how can you sit over there? I mean, especially if you're going to be covering, having so many panels, talking to Jody Sue, and not know key aspects of it. I was like, I mean, like you're going out of your way not to pay attention.
He started making up his own stories talking about like H went back to the house with them and all this stuff. And I asked him one day because he was saying that and I was like, are you sure though? And he goes, yeah, I have proof. I'll show you. And I can't remember where were we because we weren't at his apartment, but we were in the car, like, I want to say going to Starbucks or something like that. And he was like, when we get back, I'll show you. It's in my other phone. And then, like, he never got it out to show me. And, you know, I forgot or whatever. But that's what it always was. It was always like, oh, I have the proof, but it's just not here right now. And then he gets you distracted to where, like, you forget until you can't ask because you're not right there to see it anymore, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And there's a reason to why I was speaking about, even brought him up. Like, it's another one that has an active addiction problem, but yet will attack other people for things that, like, because I told my history. He was the first to come at me all the time. I'm like, Doug, man, you're sitting over saying you're on Mucinex, and it's clear that you're very intoxicated or something, and yet you're calling other people out on things you've completely made up to make yourself feel better. And that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know,
and it's always like when he's like the drunkest or the highest that he's calling people out for that.
Yeah, it's true. That's where I was kind of getting at too, with like people that do that. If somebody who has went through addiction and has fought against to try to fix themselves and get on the road to sobriety, the last thing you're going to do is attack somebody and put somebody else down that's going through it.
Exactly.
You don't, especially in publicly, you would want to reach out to somebody behind and say, look, man, is there anything I can do to help? Are you okay? That's the way you do it. You don't publicly shame people. You don't, because that's when you cause somebody to go and not on purpose, but somebody go out and get high and accidentally overdose and they die. And then if I can only say, like, think and put myself in that person's should be like, how would I would feel like I was responsible for that.
Yeah.
But most people don't have a heart, so they
don't
would.
have a conscience.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, so thank you for letting us come up. I didn't want to. I hope we were on a good topic. Was there anything else you wanted to? I kind of just was talking and talking. That's sorry.
No, that's fine. I appreciate you guys for coming on, especially with such short notice. But
no, I appreciate. We saw it the other night after I finished that live. Me and Allie saw that you had it scheduled, and I was like,
we were still live when we saw it.
Were we? Yeah, we were still live when we saw it.
I seen that. Like, after I had already sent you the text, like, then that part played because I was watching the replay. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, we pay attention, and I was like, man, that's good. I was like, because this needs to be talked about more. People don't realize how bad it is. I really encourage anybody to look up that on YouTube if you get a chance. It's called, just look up Kensington Zombieland, Kensington, Philadelphia Zombieland, and it will really put it in to a visual perspective of just how bad this is.
And I'm gonna put I just put the Cracking Cases link in the chat again. If you guys want to go and sub up to their channel, they're awesome. They look at things from an objective perspective, which I love, because we don't know the truth until we know the truth. So anything is possible in all these cases. And we need to keep open minds. Otherwise, we're going to shut out like potential information that could actually be the answer.
That's true. And, we will always be happy saying we looked into it. Even if there's something that wasn't there, at least it was looked into and something didn't slide through the cracks because we were too focused on just our personal opinions and feelings on one individual or one person. Or you have to look at everything. And, a good investigator is somebody, if you go into any kind of investigation, I'm not saying I'm a cop, Allie's not saying she is, we're not saying we're an investigator, but an investigative journalist, anybody that looks at true crime or anything, if you go in with a preconceived notion of what happened, you will not be a good investigator. You have to go where the evidence leads you, where it points, and be open to anything, because it's the realm of possibilities that the craziest thing that you'd never think could be what happened.
And it's important not only to just prove your case, but to disprove any other possibilities.
That's right. It's very true.
Yeah, so okay, I know it's late for you guys, so I will let you guys go. I'm about to get off of here myself too, because it's been almost 2 hours. So
Well, thank you so much. This was
thank
good.
you for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you later.
All right, bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
See you guys in the chat later.
Okay, so yeah, I know we got a little bit off topic, but I mean, this is like real life stuff, that's like a lot of these cases that, like these true crime cases that we're all covering and following, a lot of it revolves around, drug use and corruption and all these things that are happening. Like even with the fentanyl coming into the United States from Mexico, like how is that happening? Through some kind of corruption, obviously. Like how is it coming over the border like in such large amounts, It's like somebody's letting it through. So hi Ava. Yeah, I'm about to actually get off, but please do watch the replay. I appreciate it. And if you guys could hit that thumbs up, that would be great and help me get going through the little algorithm thing. That would be cool. And my chat has been awesome tonight. Hi, Lulu. Yeah, just I know that I haven't been like engaging with the chat so much because it's hard to focus. I'm still kind of new to this, but I do appreciate all of you who are talking to each other, and I'm really glad that there's people out there who care about this subject. It was easy for me to get off topic too, because like the actual topic at hand is really serious to me and really emotional. So yeah, it's like I don't like crying or getting emotional in front of people. I would rather kind of like get my attention elsewhere. So that's kind of why I allowed it to stray so bad. So I apologize for that. But one more time, I have it pinned to the top. So there's the endoverdosed.net. They have that's a website where you can get free Narcan. You just pay $7.95 for shipping. And you watch a couple videos and get certified through them to be able to recognize signs of overdose and to be able to administer the product so that you can help save somebody's life. So if you have an addict in your life that's close to you that you think it might be a good idea to have this on hand for, or even if you just wanted to be proactive and have it in your car in case you come across somebody in the community that needs it, like I could tell you that they will be eternally grateful because, the pain of losing somebody that you love to something when they didn't mean to die like that, like it really hurts, It's not something you can ever truly get over, I don't think. Like I might not cry myself to sleep anymore, but it still bothers me when I think about it. And I don't think that will ever go away, So anyways, yeah, I appreciate all you guys for coming, and I will see you guys later. Bye.